If we don't right the ship quickly, I mean, we're already over the tipping point. We could see societal collapse in America within the next 20 to 25 years. And here's why.
Hello beasties and welcome back to The Lair. Today's discussion is about fat acceptance and cancel culture. And our guest for the day is going to tell us about it for having experienced cancellation at the hand of fat acceptance. Let's beast it. Thank you so much again, Alan, for being with us. So please tell us about yourself.
Married, husband, father of a 23-year-old, live in Southwest Florida from Pittsburgh. I worked in the healthcare industry for about a dozen years as an executive in charge of nutrition, operations, administration, that sort of thing. And then about 2017, I started doing just YouTube roast videos. I was more of a powerlifting type guy. And then as you know, I started like trying to get healthier myself. I started coaching people to lose weight, my wife and I. We run several businesses right now, and we are partners in a supplement company. We're not a supplement company, but a supplement brand called Nomorbidity and Alchemy. And I'm pretty much known as the fitness industry Voldemort. The weird thing is I don't get too many people that actually mess with me, but even though I upset a lot of people, my main topic is normally obesity. Public health has been a huge thing for me in the last 3 years. I don't just stick with obesity, although I would argue that obesity is the #1 public health crisis facing our country in a multifaceted way. Everything from national security all the way through the shared societal burden. And not just, it's very bad for the individuals also. But I am a best-selling Amazon author, 2 books now. Probably thinking about doing a 3rd next year. I don't know. It's hard to do as many coaching clients as we have because our coaching is individual, daily communication, weekly video conferences with every single client. And we have a lot of clients, so that takes up a lot of our time. I really just am trying to make America healthy again. I'm trying to get the world healthier again by just common sense, trying to shock people back into reality. Because right now I think we're kind of in a stage of complete denial of reality.
Yes. And how did you get into the fitness industry to begin with?
I mean, I did nutrition for a living. I used to employ everything from the dietitians, the directors of nursing, the medical directors, the food service directors, food service management directors, diet techs, CNA, everything, you know. I helped write the budgets. I helped procure the food supply. I also helped write policy for even outbreaks and that sort of stuff. So I just educated myself. I have a degree in healthcare administration. And I've always been very luckily gifted. Even for my old ass age, I can still really, really go. YouTube started as a joke. I traveled a lot for work because I was an executive. My region was basically the Eastern United States. At one point in time, I had something like 60 facilities that were under my purview. And my son was getting ready to be done with high school. And Crystal, my wife, was already a yoga instructor and like that. And I was like, well, I've been a personal trainer before. I was like, I just want to spend time with my wife. So we were thinking about ways we could make money that wouldn't involve me traveling as much and like that. And, personal training, this and that, blah, blah, blah. We were thinking about that. And I was like, and I'm kind of funny, so I could start making some comedy videos on YouTube, and it was started as kind of a joke. And then all of a sudden it just kind of caught on because I did like the roasting videos are still very popular, still get a lot of views.
Yes.
And then we made the full transition to just being self-employed via YouTube and our coaching practices in 2018, I believe it was. And then 2019, we moved to Florida. The very end of 2019, right before the pandemic, we moved to Florida. And then stuff became less comedy. Like, don't get me wrong, I still try to be entertaining. And I'm an extremely sarcastic person all the time. This is just my personality. And people find that funny, my delivery, I guess. I don't know. Some people do. Some people find it very funny. Some people don't find it funny at all. But in 2020, a lot of stuff changed. It had already changed a little bit before then. I had noticed the fat acceptance stuff was starting to catch hold societally. This is very bad. We cannot have it be where this is normalized. The obesity epidemic is bad for everything from the individual, for their individual health, to their family unit, to society, because we have shared societal burdens, even the planet, because they consume so much. The fat acceptance community did not like me. When I first started talking about them, I've never understood how this happened. Crystal and I think we were like one of the prototypes for the cancellation thing. Because they just started saying crazy shit. Like, one of the things that I was shocked by, they were saying, like, they immediately started saying I was racist. First of all, it's weird because I grew up at a time where we didn't give a shit about that. I'm 52. I'm a Generation X person, and I've had friends of every nationality. I mean, I have friends all around the world now, because of what I do. Right. They just started coming out with that, like, you're racist. I was like, how am I racist? Because fat-phobia is racism. I'm like, first of all, it's super racist of you to say that. I've never understood that, where they'll say you're racist for calling somebody fat because that implies that like black people are all fat, which is super fucking racist.
It's very racist. The other thing with them calling people who mention that they are fat, because let's be honest, they are fat, and they're calling people.
Like we have eyes.
And they're calling people racist for saying that. I've always looked at it also like saying that being fat is a race in itself. Like, what are you talking
it's a race
about?
In itself, really? That's the new thing, and that's actually being pushed by the government and by the pharmaceutical industries. It's genetic. It's so messed up. We live in a time almost devoid of critical thinking and logic. They try to say that obesity is genetic, and at the same time when they say obesity is genetic, they're trying to sell you a drug that makes you eat less. And don't get me wrong, our supplements are based around helping reduce hunger, right? So I agree with the premise that you should eat less, but it's the actual food. That's what I'm saying. It's the food. Yes. You know?
So, Alan, you've been very outspoken against fat acceptance, and rightly so. That's how I even got into knowing about that movement. It was through your videos. So, how did you even discover that group?
It honestly started as like this weird thing. I was making videos about basically the fitness industry idiots for a long time, you know? And then, like, I started seeing these fat acceptance people, like, hey, you know what? This is bad because this is really bad for them. And people forget, only like 5 or 6 years ago, it was like an open joke that people were saying this. It went from very quickly, my health is none of your business. If I'm 400 pounds, like that's a Tess Holiday thing. To all of a sudden, I'm healthy. The Cosmo cover was really the thing that started it off. I'm just very blunt. Like, if you find that attractive, it's a fetish. It's not an attraction. And I'm sorry if people don't understand that. It's either a fetish, like the feederism thing, which is disgusting, or it is that you don't care enough about the person that you want them to live a long time. It's one or the other because those are both realities. I just found it to be very, very bad. And it went from her even saying on TV, my health is none of anybody's business, which I will argue that even before, since we have shared societal burden, it was. But after 2020, when our freedoms were linked to public health, it's everybody's business. But then a year later, she was on Shape magazine saying she's 300 pounds and fit and healthy. And then it just kind of went from there. They came after me, which it's weird because, like, you know, I'll call somebody fat. I used to be fat myself, like very fat.
Right.
I'll call somebody fat, and then the first thing they'll say is something about my looks. Like, I don't care what you think about me. Like, you clearly care that I'm calling you fat, even though it's a very serious, obviously factual thing. Again, we have eyes. We see that, you know, you're fat. It is about physical appearance all the time for these people. These people are based around physical appearance. They just don't want to be found ugly.
Yeah, how they came after you was really wild. Actually, we're getting into it 2019 because that's when it started. Exactly August 9, 2019. That's when the Fat-Topia documentary directed by Simpson got on Amazon Prime for the first time. And I remember at the time on your video, like before it even gets out, you were already promoting it on your channel, the channel at the time, Every Damn Day Fitness. You promoted it intensely, and that's how I got to even know about the documentary and went on Amazon Prime and set it up so that as soon as it's out, I get notified. And when it was out, I went and watched it. So were you at all involved with the making of that documentary somehow?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I mean, the way that worked was he reached out to me to see if I would want to help promote it because he was already taking massive heat, like from people, like massive heat. Like they were sending his like mother death threats and stuff like that, like crazy.
Yeah, that's really sad. He
was like, we can work out some sort of compensation. I was like, I just need to see an advanced copy of it if it's something I can go behind, save your money, because I think it's societally important. Look at where we're at now. Where we're at now is because he did a good job of pointing out what was happening to society. We've become so soft as a society. People want language to be so kind to them. Nothing can possibly be said negative about it. And he was pointing this out. And then they released an old address we had. Which, by the way, people, like even if you hate me, releasing my address and trying to get people to show up my house, it's not a smart thing. You're going to get somebody hurt. I mean, I know your intention is that you want me to get hurt, especially now. I live in Florida. If you show show up at my doorstep, you're going to be Swiss cheese. If you had a debatable point with me.
The thing with that community is that they operate on a double standard thing, right? They don't want you to say anything negative about them, but they feel like they have all the right to say whatever they want. Say, yeah, but those rights, those are rights that you have. Everybody has those rights. So why should you have the right to do something and not others? Isn't that impeding on someone else's right?
Well,
So
it absolutely is. We've reached a stage where it's no longer about fat acceptance. It's about obese privilege. I mean, because they want privilege.
Yes.
They want extra accommodation. The whole thing about air travel, I will argue 100 times out of 100 that it is unsafe to have a 400-pound person on a flight. They're physically encumbered. If you don't fit into a seat by yourself, it's not safe for you because you're going to be straddling two seats, so it's not safe for you. It's like we don't even apply logic to this, which is like we need to give and give and give. And then I wish people could just wake up and take a little bit of personal responsibility, because my thing is, if you are fat, and to anybody out there, if you are fat and you are trying, I will help you. I will be the biggest advocate. I give free advice every damn day. 6 days a week, I'm live giving free advice as much as I can. But if you're in denial of it, I am going to do my thing to try to wake you up. And my thing, sometimes people think is kind of rude. And to them, I say, fuck your feelings.
So Connor Simpson, he was the one who made this Fat-Topia documentary and the danger of fat acceptance documentary as well. He made another one that I've been trying to get my hands on it, but it's not available to stream in the US. Feed me. I so want to see that one.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Yes, I've been trying to look at, I think maybe at this point, the only way to watch it will be to get one of those VPN service and put your location as Australia, because apparently that's only where it's streaming. But anyways, are you still in contact with Connor Simpson today? And if you are in contact with him, how's the relationship between you two?
I always thought that we had a pretty good relationship. I honestly keep my circle very, very small. Before 2020, we had a very large circle of people, huge Facebook group, all that stuff, everything like that. 2020 was a very, very interesting time for me. I call it my time of like final growth almost, right? Because we had a huge kind of like social circle online that we have now tapered down to literally it's like very few people. Because I just found a lot of people to be complete fucking cowards in 2020. I was very outspoken about all the stuff that was going on with the pandemic. And I literally had people tell me like, well, I need to take a break from being associated with you because like people are associated with me. I was like, you don't need to take a break. We're just done. I'm good. I got my wife. I got my son. I don't give a fuck, right? I mean, I don't need nobody else. But and I still talk to him. I've talked to him since then. When he made Dark Side of Fat Acceptance, he reached out and he said, hey, can I make this video? I was like, sure. And he was like, do you want any of the royalties? I was like, no, man, just because it's not just me. And he interviewed a bunch of people. He did help me do, we did another thing too. It was called Mutual Ground, where I debated Dr. Joshua Arwich. I made this doctor who's a fat acceptance guy who like, everybody sees so nice and weight stigma and all that bullshit. There's no weight stigma, by the way. There's weight realities. I got him to admit that there was a weight that he would prescribe weight loss. I was like, so if it's just stigma, you're saying that there would be a weight that you would say you need to lose weight. He's like, well, of course. And then there's also the thing where it's like, I asked him, like, do you agree that 13 types of cancer are more prevalent with obesity than smoking? He's like, well, that's just science. I'm like, that's my point. Like, I mean, that's my point, But no, Connor's a nice guy. I haven't talked to him a little bit, but like, I appreciate what he does. I actually liked both of his movies, even though even if I wouldn't have been involved in them.
So when this movie came out, there were many people who talked about it, including myself, many other people, and you as well. So the movie came out in August 9, 2019. And exactly 2 months afterwards, on October 9, 2019, that is when the fitness niche got a huge blow, because that's the day when Every Damn Day Fitness was taken down from Instagram and YouTube. And
the weird thing is everybody should have taken that as a sign, because she clearly organized a mass reporting of my Instagram channel. She calls herself Sparkle Jam or something.
There was that one, and there was another one, Grandma Grandma Gary, you know what I realized afterward? Because on that same day when Every Damn Day Fitness got obliterated, I was very vocal about it as well. Well, and at the time, I was still a very, very, very small content creator, and I still am. But it doesn't mean that just because I'm a small creator, I'm not going to be outspoken about the things that matter. Grandma Gary, that's the same one who also came after me because I went on Instagram and really called Instagram out on the fact that they are literally breaking their own rules to satisfy a group of people, because it is against Instagram and YouTube rules to have your people, your fans, to go harass another creator. And that's what they did. And Instagram stood with them. And here she was.
They didn't even let me appeal. They didn't even let me appeal.
Crazy.
I emailed them her video, like where she said everybody go report his channel. Yeah, she said everybody go report his channel. I know that they'll take it down. But here's the thing: like we're talking about a social media platform that can't stop child trafficking on their platform, but if you say masks don't work, they'll be able to delete you. It's so insane how social media has gotten, which is another reason why I let that stuff kind of roll off my back. Because here's the thing: I don't get that many views anymore. And I'm fine with that, because I mean I'm obviously suppressed. It's not like people don't know who I am. It's not like that, you know, the message hasn't gotten out there a little bit. But you can't take that to heart when they are clearly suppressing channel. Like it's been admitted that they were clearly shadow banning. And
they did.
A lot of my shadow banning, especially like my shadow banning on YouTube, was not because of the fat acceptance stuff. My shadow banning on YouTube was from the pandemic stuff.
It's equally wrong. But yeah, YouTube did admit on doing on that kind of practice, and now we're talking about it. I've always believed my channel was in the same boat, you know, because that same lady, the day after she came after me like that, the day after I started noticing things going on with my channel as well, and it hasn't been better ever since. It's like they press a switch and they never switch it back, you know. So but what you are going through, I totally understand, and it's not. And you're right. We can't take that personally, and besides, that's not something we control, you know. But just acknowledging the fact that it is out there and it is happening, you know, because I mean, some people just choose to look at it as, oh, you're complaining, maybe shut the F up and make better content, and you be picked up in the algorithm. No, it's not about complaining. It's about something that is actually happening. And if you took the time to actually pay attention and see how things don't add up, you will understand what we're trying to say. So yeah, I have noticed things happening with your channels. And because again, I've been following you for a few years now, you know.
Well, thank you.
And you're very welcome. I mean, I've always loved the message that you put out there, how you help people. You've helped people without even them paying you, because you put out so much great information out there for free. And a lot of people have been losing weight thanks to you following what you've been saying. So why do we have someone with such a positive impact as yourself being shut down while we allow stuff like fat acceptance or content from Eugenia Kone and people in the eating disorder community? Because there are plenty of those on the platform, on every platform. And you're like, why would you do that? Or the mukbangs, or it's like...
Well, it's because they make money. Okay, here's the thing, right? Everything runs on advertising revenue. Right now, 75% of all pharmaceutical expenses, like the pharmaceutical industry expenses, are advertising. They spend 75% of their expense on there. Not development, not production, advertisement, right? But also, like, if you look at, like, say, a Nikado avocado mukbang, they can put premium ads. First of all, he's eating the actual products that they're advertising. And it's disgusting, and it is actually against their terms of service agreement. Like, I am a binge eater. Like, I am 2 years, I am 2 years, 7 months, and
7 months and 16 days.
16 days, yes.
See, I've been tracking that.
Thank you. That's awesome. The biggest thing about it is that's binge eating behavior. Just to be gluttoning yourself on camera and to broadcast that to an audience of people. I've had people say, well, people aren't going to glutton themselves just because they do. Like, and I understand where some people may think that, but my biggest thing about this is it normalizes the ingestion of huge quantities of food. Because if you eat half as much as Nikado avocado does, it is still entirely too much food to eat at a sitting, but you feel normalized as like, well, I'm not like that fat ass. You know, the federal government that keeps track of the statistics, like the biggest statistic we see right now is that 42% of the population is obese, right? That's actually not true. First of all, that number was from 2018. And if you just go by normal progression, we would have been like close to 50% by now.
Right.
However, in 2020, the average American gained like 35 pounds. That puts most people from healthy weight to overweight, to obese. Right?
Yeah.
But if you take a look at the other statistics that are even collected by the CDC, in 2018, the average woman in America was 5'3.5" inches tall and weighed 170 pounds with a waist circumference of over 0.6. That puts them as viscerally, morbidly obese.
Yes.
So the average woman in America is viscerally, morbidly obese. And the average male was about 200 pounds with a waist to height ratio that puts them at severely overweight. I was actually shocked to believe that it was more men than women. But the thing is, we've normalized being fat as fuck. You'll show a 200-pound woman and people are like, well, she's not that big. Like, she's 200 fucking pounds as a woman. Like, unless she's 7 feet tall, she's fat as fuck. But people normalize this. And then the argument against BMI, which I don't use BMI for my clients most of the time.
Oh, I don't either.
We use waist to height ratio because it's much more telling and much more predictive of chronic illness development and stuff like that.
Right.
But BMI is not really applicable to people like me. You know what I mean? Because I carry, even though I've downsized muscle mass tremendously when I was bigger,
you still have a lot of muscle mass on you. So
I still carry big muscle mass.
Yes.
Even though my waist is about 28 inches, but I just carry about 185 pounds of mass, right?
Yep.
So BMI ranks me as overweight when in actuality I'm considered very slim by waist height ratio.
I think we are in the same boat. A few weeks ago, I put a post on Instagram where I was telling people, not directly the struggle that I have shopping for clothes, because one body, 3 sizes. My shoulders are size 6 to 8, depending on the brand. My thighs are 8 to 10, depending on the brand. And here comes my waist at size 4. And I do train a lot. I have high muscle mass, as what the BMI always said, well, except when I was really low on weight, except for that, when I was starving. But other than that, the BMI always showed me as overweight.
The thing is, for the normal sedentary, low muscle mass, male and female, which is most of America, we live in an amazing weak country. We are amazingly weak. I say this all the time. I'm a little leaner than my father was when he was my age at 52, but that's because it's what I do for a living. And my dad built bridges. I'm a little leaner than he was, but he was absolutely bigger and stronger than me. I should be considered like close to the average 50-year-old, maybe even just a couple pounds heavier, but that's it. But instead, I am 14 to 15 pounds under the average weight of the American male. I probably carry 25 more pounds of lean mass muscle than the average American male. And I'm 15 pounds under the weight of the average American male. That's sad. But we've normalized obesity to such a stage, like TikTok's a huge thing for it. Like these people be like, you can't tell if I'm healthy or not. Like, motherfuckers, I have eyes. Like, I can hear you breathing labored. Like, you're sweating standing up. When you have rolls of fat hanging off of you, you have too much extra energy stored up. That's unhealthy for you. If for no other reason than gravity and the state of chronic inflammation you're in from the extra fat and stuff like that, and your hormones are all screwed up because fat is an actual organ. It produces hormones. It produces estrogen. It is just a very weird time we live in that if we don't correct this ship, like if it keeps going and people keep getting unhealthier and healthier, I worry. And this is where it gets a little serious. This is one of the reasons why I changed my content up. If we don't right the ship quickly, I mean, we're already over the tipping point. We could see societal collapse in America within the next 20 to 25 years. And here's why. People that die obese in their 70s were only obese probably the last 15, 20 years of their life. They might have been a little overweight for the entirety of their life, but they were obese for the last 15, 20 years, and they died early. So they died at 70 instead of like 80 or 85. But right now, we have a generation of people who are not even 30 years old, and many of them are 300 plus pounds.
Yes.
And obesity, like I remember a 300-pound person was extremely rare 25 years ago. Extremely rare. But now it's fairly common to have 300-pound people. And that's very bad, especially at such a younger age, because if you're under 30 years old and you're 300 plus pounds, even if you're a male, you are not going to live a long time. So these people are probably going to live another 20, 25 years, and it's going to be painful. It's not going to be fun by any stretch of the imagination. It is going to be expensive for all of society. It is bad for their family, bad for society, bad for the planet. It's just bad. So they're going to start dying off between 50 and 60 years of age. And at that time, the generation before them will also be dying off. Not to mention being morbidly obese, being fat as fuck, reduces fertility rates. So we aren't even replacing the people that we're already losing. So we're not actually producing more humans to take the places of these people. We're in very serious trouble. As it is right now, the average American, due to lifestyle issues, 60% of America is on at least one daily medication from the pharmaceutical industry to function or stay alive. That's tragic. And it's not sustainable for the long term. And the problem I'm finding is mainstream media, because they get their money from pharmaceutical industries and from big food and stuff like that, and the healthcare industry, they are not trying to get people healthier. They want people coming back, right? Yeah. Like what I say this all the time. What I do is healthcare. I try to help people prevent chronic illness, prevent early death, prevent disease and stuff like that. What they do is sick care. They want you to stay sick. Yes. So they can treat you. They want you to stay sick. It
benefits them for you to be sick.
It financially benefits them. It is actually fiduciarily irresponsible for them to try to cure somebody. Because they are the pharmaceutical industry is for profit. They do not want to create a pill that will all of a sudden cure you one time. Yeah. They want you to have to take it every damn day. And people just don't understand that for some reason. And a huge portion is because the mainstream media has even started saying, well, weight stigma and weight discrimination and anti-fat bias. Think about the term anti-fat bias. There should be anti-fat bias. Being fat is objectively bad for you. It's not something we should be doing. It's ridiculous.
It's madness. Yes, it's a clone word. It's definitely a clown word. Coming back to these attacks from fat acceptance, and at that time when it all went down like that, did you ever feel like you and your family were in physical danger? You mentioned at some point they were sharing your private information, which is wild and very dangerous actually. But on top of that, how was the atmosphere like on your end?
I wasn't worried. First of all, who's going to show up? You got to be stupid. At that state, it was pretty well. It's pretty well known. I'm a Second Amendment advocate. I believe that all gun laws are unconstitutional. I grew up around guns and stuff like that. I made kind of no mistake about it. Like, if you come after my family, I'm putting you in the ground. I put that message out. I was like, don't anybody get stupid, because if you think you're going to show up at my house and do something that would be very bad, make sure your family has their church clothes ready, because that's the next time they're going to see you is in a church saying goodbye to you. These are the most unmotivated people in the world. First of all, at the time, I lived in Pittsburgh, and you're going to walk up my 3 flights of stairs to get to my front door? I don't think so. I pretty much will see you coming. It never occurred to me to actually be tweaked. I mean, it's not like I'm not a very recognizable person. I get recognized fairly often. Yeah. It's not like the tattoos and everything like that. It's not like I try to hide who I am. And I literally tell people where I'm going to be. We're not super social anymore, but if I'm going to be at an event, I announce it months ahead of time. So if you got a problem with me, you can show up and we can have a conversation. I'm not afraid of that shit at all. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, I really wasn't. I really, really wasn't.
This is a rhetorical question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Did you ever feel at that time some type of anger or grudge against Connor Luke Simpson because this happened after his video was out and after you promoted it?
No, I like Connor. As far as I know, we're on good standing.
Nice.
Yeah, frankly, he's a nice guy. I think he's really fucking brave for what he does, and
yes,
I have absolutely no issues with him. It would shock me if he thought I did too.
Awesome. And just recently, you had another attempt of being canceled.
Oh yeah.
Would you want to tell us more about it?
This basically a behemoth of a woman, Samara. She basically tried to like sick Nassim on me. I pretty much just, kind of stated what I thought the issues were. I did my thing, right?
Yeah.
And she, instead of retorting back, this is supposedly a Harvard-educated woman. I mean, I'm not supposedly. I mean, she is. I mean, but it just speaks very poorly for Harvard. She literally tried to get people to contact Nassim and everything like that, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, you realize that like the last time I spoke with Nassim, because I was Nassim certified, and the last time I spoke, almost everybody, if you want to like coach at a gym or something like that, you have to like have a certification. So
yes.
I didn't study for it at all. I literally walked in, took the Nassim test, and was, because I mean, what are you going to tell me? But the last time we talked to them, we were actually thinking about getting our own certification through them. Like they wanted to actually team up with us, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, the sad thing is that these folk think that for some reason I'm worried that they're going to be able to do something to me. If the truth hurts you so bad that you can't stand it to the point where you want to silence the person saying the truth, instead of if it wasn't true, this woman who apparently went to Harvard and calls herself super smart, she seems rather fucking childish and stupid to me. What's up, Samara? How you doing? I mean, she's stupid. She's a fucking idiot, frankly, because like, she's one of these people, like she tries to like evoke Martin Luther King almost when she talks. And she was talking about how fat people need federal protections from Fat-Topia. Like, as a newsflash, Fat-Topia doesn't fucking exist. There's no irrational fear of being fat. It's a very rational fear to be fat. Like you shouldn't be. But her fans tried to come over, and what happens is I just keep going, like, I love that shit. Keep coming at me because I know I'm right. Like if I didn't know I was right, I'd back off. But I know I'm right. So basically they came at me, and it got to the point where they, like, all the trolls were blocking me. Which I find funny.
You do have a store, Alan. Tell us what we can find at your store and where we can find it.
You can find Alchemy and Nomorbidity, which are non-stimulant, non-thermogenic-based appetite suppressant, 4 patent ingredients, clinically tested human doses. I've used Nomorbidity I tested it on myself for a year before we launched it. I've been using it for about 2.5 years to help control my binge eating disorder. And it basically blunts the biological mechanism of hunger in your stomach, helps with stress relief. It even it has an amazing ingredient, which when you're in a caloric deficit, it makes it so your body goes more toward your fat stores and preserves lean mass, which is awesome. Yeah. And we just launched Alchemy, which is right here, I think. I just took my first dose for the day.
Oh, awesome.
Alchemy, it's a glucose disposal agent, and it basically we tested that on me for a year before we launched it too. It's taken away my sugar cravings and my carb craving. I don't crave sugar anymore, which that was a problem for me for a while. And even when I do eat carbohydrates, it helps blunt the glycemic response of food. You can find both of those at theambrosiacollective.com. And if you want any of our coaching, which we have daily communication, weekly video conferences, we adjust a person's lifestyle based on your current lifestyle to a healthier one. There's no cookie cutter or anything like that. We have individualized programs for every person. It's completely private. You have a private chat with my wife and myself, but you get to use the app to track all your stuff. But you can find that the links are in any of my videos in the description box and any of my social media bios.
Awesome. So it's been such a pleasure to have you here, Alan. Thank you so much for taking the time and for being open and being so easygoing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this.
I hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as I did. Like if you did, dislike if you didn't. And don't forget to subscribe. Be a beast, train mean.